All right, those new characters get a chance to shine. Let's talk about Foundation Season 2, Episode 4. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watch Your Past. It's Friday, which means it's a new Foundation Day. Today we're talking about Foundation Season 2, Episode 4, where the stars are scattered thinly. It comes to Apple TV Plus on August 4th, 2023. It is the 4th episode of a 10-part Foundation Season 2. And is Foundation finally turning that corner? Are we done with the setup? Are we finally going to get to see where this plot is going? Well, yes, I think so. And my hot take is, look, I definitely think you should like it. Look, I thought that this was a fun episode that highlights the new characters that I really liked from the last episode and also includes some new intrigue, some humor, and finally a little bit of action. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a really good one, and I'm excited to see where this season goes. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the episode, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then really briefly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't want to know what happens in this episode, you haven't seen it yet, turn it off when I get to the recap section. Before that, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Foundation Season 2, Episode 4, we have the kind of direct result of the last episode. Remember the last episode? Remember in the end, you had Empire recruiting Rios to help it on the outer reach of the Empire. Empire's kind of perimeter is starting to crumble. They're having issues kind of policing that outer reach, and they want Rios to come in and do a mission to kind of help secure that area. And on the flip side, you have Foundation getting Hober Mallow to come to the vault because that is what the Prophet wanted. That's what Harry Seldon wanted. Where do these two stories go? Where does this intersect? Well, you do find out in this episode, and I really enjoyed it. But that will be for the recap. Before that, things I liked about this episode. The first, I liked the action. We finally got some action. You get to see some action from Bell on his mission to the outer reach. It was a short sequence, but at least it was fun. It was fun to kind of mix it up, see what the Empire's elite soldiers can do, and they can do a lot. They were definitely able to do some damage, and it was really fun to see. Second thing I really liked, look, I liked Hober a lot. I like both the new characters. I like Hober and I like Bell, but Hober Mallow is, I think, my favorite new character, and he kind of has a chance to shine in this one. I liked how he interjects some humor. I liked his kind of overall demeanor, and I like how he contrasts with the clerics and the priest that he is with. Is fun to see. They're kind of like pushing. And the third thing I like, look, there were some heartfelt moments, especially with some characters that kind of, I don't know, they had like a different mentality than you would expect given what we've learned earlier. There was one character that had like a really nice, sweet, dramatic moment, and then the ending had some nice drama that I really enjoyed. Also, I liked that this episode had both, like I said, action, humor, and heart, and I really liked kind of the heart moments. It really drove some of the big things about Foundation home. And the last thing I liked the ending. I like the way it ended. I think it is going to, I think it feels like this episode, you had a little bit more action, you had some more kind of story development, and it feels like the story is finally kind of executing. After all the setup of the new characters and the situation, we're finally getting to see what is going to happen, and that just kind of sets us up for the rest of the season. I am very excited to see where it goes, and the ending made me excited to see what happens next. Now, that being said, things I didn't love as much, very minor point. There was some questionable CG, and I don't know if that was related to the fact that I had a screener or if that is how it was going to be in the episode. Can't really tell, but during some scenes with the I don't know, during some scenes with the ships, with like, you know, specifically the ship landing, it looked pretty rough. The effects were not that great. It was landing on a sand planet. There wasn't like a ton of sand whipping up. The machine looked kind of fairly basic. It did not look great, so I'm hoping that that was just in the screener and not in the final product. But I don't know. I mean, it looked good enough, but I expect more from this series. I expect more from Foundation. They do a really good job with the sets and with the overall setup. So when I saw that, I was like, ooh, that doesn't really look good. That kind of throws me off in this episode. So that being said, Foundation Season 2, Episode 4 is a really good episode. It really kind of makes me excited for the rest of this season. Look, I was going to watch Foundation anyways. I like the series. I wanted to see where Season 2 goes, but I'm finally like actually excited to see where we're going next. So check it out on Apple TV Plus on August 4th, 2023. I'm going to go into a quick recap, so if you don't want to know what happens in this episode, turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So, like the other episodes, I feel like this is the normal trend. Season 2, Episode 4 has three kind of main storylines, and I'll start with the Bell Riose storyline. So, Bell is sent to Siwana, which is a planet on the outer kind of reach of Empire. That's why it's called the Outer Reach. And he is there to meet up with an informant who has some information about these things called magicians, these characters called magicians. He's going to go out and see what is happening with them and try to retrieve this new information for Empire. I don't know why they don't just like send it. I feel like you could probably email it. Maybe probably feel like it would come a little faster than sending a ship out there to get it. But you know what? Person is scared. Empire wants this information. Bell goes and gets it. He gets on the planet with his husband slash second in command, and they pretty quickly meet some of the locals. And the locals are fairly hostile, especially because they have captured this extraction pack, which you don't know what it does until the end, but that is basically their ticket back. That is how Bell and his second in command get back to the ship. They need this extraction pack. They try to pay the locals. They are not interested. And so because of that, they slaughter the locals. And this is that action scene. This is the one I was very excited to see. And it was fun. It was fun to see some action, something a little bit more impactful and exciting in Foundation. So you got a little of that, and they are able to get that extraction pack. Now, after they get that, they go and meet the informant, this person that owns like a winery on Siwana. He is an old kind of Empire loyalist that after the Empire banned it, he lived his life, but he kind of kept reporting to the Empire. He said he kept sending reports back, and Empire never responded until now when he sent a report about two magicians coming to Siwana to try to like convert them to the religion of Seldon. You find out the magicians are these clerics, maybe they're called magicians already, that have been visiting the outer reach planets to try to convert them to follow the Harry Seldon religion and kind of, I don't know, pledge to Foundation and pledge to like their overall cause of overthrowing the Empire. And we see our friends, Brother Constant and Polly Verisov. We find out that they were the magicians that this person is reporting on. So it's all coming full circle. We're finally getting some interactions between these various characters. They were the second wave of magicians. The first magician came earlier. Remember, they were killed by the locals. And when Polly Verisov and Brother Constant came, they saw that that person was killed. And that is why they made sure their auras were working before they went down there to protect themselves. So this informant, this Empire loyalist, is reporting this to Bell and Glawen and telling them, and giving them this information. Now, unfortunately for this informant, the locals figure out what's going on. When Bell and Glawen murdered the locals that took the extraction pack, one of them escaped, informed the others, and now they are there at the gates of this person's estate, ready to come in. This informant opens a secret corridor, tells them they can escape, and before they leave, he asks Bell to kind of end his life. And you're like, whoa, what's going on? Well, he knows that these locals are going to break in there and they are not going to be kind to him. He says that, he would prefer a bullet to the head rather than kind of be tortured by these locals. And he says, don't worry, I already poisoned myself with this pipe I was smoking. So I'm going to die anyways. It's just much preferable to be shot in the head. It's a really interesting scene. I like kind of how this character phrased it. He's very respectful. He's very kind of calm. He's just asking logically for Bell to kind of end his life. And Bell complies, and this is kind of one of those this is one of those heartfelt moments because of just the I don't know, I thought it was interesting to see this loyalist who had been loyal to the Empire ever since. The Empire, you kind of think of them as this organization that is crushing everyone under them, under their heel, and it seems like this person liked the Empire's rule, was loyal to the Empire, kind of had a very different mentality and personality from what I expected someone who was supporting the Empire to be. And so I liked how this kind of change your perspective on what the Empire was doing and also who was supporting them. So back on Trantor, you have a little bit of intrigue going on. You have the Queen, the one who is supposed to marry Empire and kind of merge their two empires together. She seems to be exploring and kind of playing some sides off of each other. And mostly she is trying to manipulate the various empires. It seems like she's focusing on Brother Don because he seems like the most susceptible. Try to get some more information about what happened. Basically, she wants to know if Empire, specifically Brother Day, murdered her family in order to kind of make this alliance happen. She says it's interesting that she was seen as the weakest one, the one that was most likely to form an alliance. And it's interesting that her entire family was killed and she was the only one that's left. She basically suspects Brother Day of murdering her entire family in order to kind of force this union to happen, to weaken her line and kind of force her to marry someone in order to secure her empire and also secure her safety. Seems fairly logical given what we know about Brother Day, but she is trying to use Brother Dawn to get this information. She's trying to appeal to him, kind of try to read him. And this is a fun scene when she is trying to probe him. It does a pretty good job of redirecting her questions and doing her questions, but he lets a little bit slip. He says, essentially, he thinks Brother Day could have done it. He doesn't know, but he thinks Brother Day could have. And then he also asks, do you have any evidence? Which makes me think he probably knows. And he just wants to know, what is going on? How much evidence do they have? And unfortunately for the Queen, all she has is circumstantial evidence. So like I said, the circumstances of all of her family was killed. and she was the last one left, and she's also the one that was most likely to have to be in, and she was also the one that was most likely to agree to be married. So it seems like there will be a little bit more intrigue. It seems like maybe this wedding is not going to be the happiest of unions, but it wouldn't be a fun show if there wasn't a little bit of drama, and now we get it. Now we also later see back on Trantor that she's not just trying to work her way into the good graces of the Empire. She's actively looking for defectors, and someone, it seems like maybe like one of the Empire's guards, defects at the end. He comes to them, he says like he essentially like wants payment to give them information, and specifically he's going to look into whether Brother Day was responsible for killing the Queen's family. He doesn't know the information, but at least knows where to start. And so now they're going to have a spy with an Empire. Is this actually someone that is coming to them? Is this some sort of layer upon layer? Maybe Brother Day sent this to figure out what they know. I don't know, but at least it'll be interesting. We know that the next few episodes are going to be exciting. Now, you had so you had Bel Rios and his mission. You had Trantor and the intrigue happening there. You also have Foundation, and remember, Brother Constant and Polly Verisov brought Hober Mallow from that scary predicament he was in back to Foundation. And when they get there, they show Hober the vault, and he sees that his name is like scrawled on the vault itself. And he's like, no, I don't want to be here. But the vault sucks him up, and after they suck Hober in, Brother Constant is the first to go into the vault to go after him. Polly Verisov is next. And then Brother Constant's dad, Director Cermak, goes in after them all. He is the last one to go in. He originally kind of, brushes it off, but he decides to go in also. When they get into the vault, they find Hober, but he says he's been there for 2 days. Now, he'd only been there for like a minute or two, so it seems like time is very different in the vault, but there's some other things as well. They explore the vault. They try to figure out what's going on. It is much bigger than you would expect, given what it's like outside, so it seems like there is some math magic going on in here. And eventually they find Harry Seldon. They find the Prophet, and it is a fun scene. It's fun to see Harry like interact with these people. He interacts with the director. Yeah, he's a little bit kind of, I don't know, insulting to him, but the director also kind of sucks, so it's fine. For Brother Constant, he is like very nice to her. He thanks her for kind of like spreading his word, and he thanks her for spreading his word, and like essentially blesses her in a Harry Seldon way. For Polly, this is a really sweet scene because when he sees Polly Verisov, he remembers him. He remembers that he was the boy that he met all those years ago. Remember, that was Polly Verisov's claim to fame. He was like, I am the only living person who has met the Prophet. And then he went into that vault. Well, it seems like the Prophet actually did remember him, and this was a really sweet scene to see their reunion. And then Hober, he basically tells Hober that he has a job for him to do, aside from these clerics. So basically, he has assembled his crew, and what he wants from the two magicians is that he wants them to go to Trantor and try to implement diplomatic relations, try to like open up some channels, see if they can prevent a war, because war is coming. Empire is gearing up, Foundation is gearing up. Harry wants to see if they can, stop the war or at least push it off for a few years. Once he gives them their marching orders, they all leave, and before Polly leaves, he asks a question to Harry that I also had. He's like, why did you kill the warden? Because remember, when the vault first opened, the warden was there. He was going to go into the vault, and the vault like lifted him up and then just incinerated him. And Harry basically says, like, if you're going to be a god, you have to occasionally be wrathful. It kind of reminds people of your power and kind of like put some awe in them. And he also said he was worried that the warden was going to kind of like try to become the de facto only person that go to the vault. From the way that the warden was talking, he made it seem like he was the only kind of holy, math holy person that could go into the vault. And so Harry wanted to make sure to squash that early and squash it quickly. So it seems to appease Polly, even though it is a fairly violent incident. It seems like Polly's fine with it, and so they all leave. And now Harry has a specific mission for Hober that he doesn't want the others to hear. An interesting thing is that Harry asks Hober for his story, which I thought was weird, because if Harry like knows the plan and knows like all the math about this universe, I assume he would have already known a little bit about Hober's story. He didn't need to hear it, but for the benefit of us audience, we get to hear his story also. It seems like Harry and Hober had like fairly similar-ish upbringings. They both, were not in great situations. They both kind of overcame that and pulled themselves up. Harry did it through math. Hober did it through deception. And it seems like Harry is going to try to use that deception because he wants Hober to go and do a separate mission. He basically says, like, when you're doing like a diplomatic interaction, you need to have something in your back pocket. When you extend an open hand of friendship, You have to have the other hand clenched behind the blade behind your back. And Hober is going to be that blade. Harry is going to send him to do something. We don't know what, but he is going to do something to either like disrupt Empire or just maybe be an insurance policy in case the micro relations don't happen. So Hober gets his own specific marching orders, his own specific quest. And then he leaves the vault also. So now everyone's out of the vault. Everyone's got their orders. The magicians are going to go try to open diplomatic relations. Hober is going to do something else nefarious. And in order to do that, he needs to take the magician's ship. Hopefully they will have another one because they need to get to Trantor also. But he takes the magician's ship. And before he leaves, there is another sweet moment. I liked this. This is another heartfelt moment because him and Brother Constant have been getting close. They've been like, you could tell that there is something between them. And now there's a sad moment because Hober has to leave to go do this mission. And Brother Constant, like, essentially confesses that she thought that they were going to develop a relationship, be together. It's a very like logical explanation. She's like, I don't really like that many people, and I liked you, and so I thought that we were gonna like, develop our relationship, and eventually you were gonna be my first. And Homer's like, well, we still can. Like, I'll be back, and she's like, I don't really know if you will be, which I thought was interesting. It's like she doesn't expect Hober to come back from this mission. Maybe she doesn't expect to come back from this mission, but in any event, she and Hober do not consummate their relationship, do not consummate what is happening, and Hober takes the ship and goes. And also, one thing that was interesting is that when Hober first says he needs the ship, she reminds him that her like vicious pet is on the ship, and she says, take care of her. And she says you'll be fine, implying that the pet will be okay with Hober on there. But when she also says that you're probably not going to come back, to me that implies that maybe the ship isn't going to come back, and maybe that pet isn't going to come back. So it seems interesting that she would just like give up the ship. Sure, I understand that. But give up her pet? That seems a little cruel. But in any event, it's fine. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have a space for that pet. Maybe Foundation wasn't the right kind of environment for it. So Hober takes the ship. Presumably, the magicians are going to find their own way to Trantor. And as he's leaving, he looks down and sees her kind of staring up at him. They say their goodbyes. And that's the episode. That is season 2, episode 4. Like I said, I really like this episode. I thought it was kind of a nice kind of change of pace. I thought it was fun to like actually get some story progression rather than just setup. And it made me excited to see where this goes next. So that was Foundation Season 2, Episode 4, Where the Stars Are Scattered Thinly. It comes to Apple TV Plus on August 4th, 2023. So definitely check it out. Let me know what I got right. Let me know what I got wrong. Let me know your thoughts. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.